This is an ESP custom shop made in Japan George Lynch signature purple tiger. Under the striking paint job, this is a solid maple body, making it a hugely heavy instrument. It's outfitted with a Seymour Duncan humbucker and a neck single coil, with the push-pull on the volume pot switching between the two. This is a monster of a guitar, but it has a pretty severe issue that is preventing it from being usable. The thing will just not stay in tune. This belongs to one of my friends who inherited it under some deeply tragic circumstances, and he brought it to me to get it playing right again. It was up to me to investigate why such an expensive guitar with a double-locking Floyd Rose is experiencing extreme tuning instability. The owner was concerned that an old headstock brake might be at fault, so my first task was to determine the stability of this previous repair. Removing the neck from the guitar revealed its true age. This guitar was manufactured in April 1997, so there's a good chance that a great many traumatic events may have been visited upon this guitar in its 28-year lifespan. Removing the tuning machines gave me a better look at this old headstock split, and it revealed a few things to me. Firstly, this split happened across a pre-existing join line, where additional maple had been added to make the headstock large enough to cut the reverse hockey stick shape. The original brake appears to be nothing more than a failure in the glue, an issue which stress testing revealed wasn't replicated in the repair. I was looking for any movement or to see the split open up, but it remains solid. This convinced me that, despite how the brake might look on the surface, instability in the repair is not what's causing the tuning issues. More importantly, removing the tuners revealed the imprint and the filled indexing holes of the original tuning machines. These black Rovers are replacement parts, perhaps replaced at the same time as the headstock was repaired, as it's likely the old tuners would have taken damage in whatever event caused the break. This led me to wonder, what other parts on this instrument have been replaced? How much of the hardware is original, and do the parts currently installed match the quality of the ones that would have left the Japan custom shop? As per my usual process, I decided to strip down the entire guitar. This gives me the opportunity to give everything a deep clean and check all of the hardware for damage. In most cases, simply dismantling the guitar, cleaning everything and putting it back together with fresh strings and a setup is enough to resolve any issues with the instrument. And if it doesn't, then it usually makes it much easier to troubleshoot the issue. This is where I can also check for issues that weren't raised by the owner, like the crackling output jack being rusted to the jack plate and requiring WD-40 and force to free. While this wasn't explicitly asked for, replacing this old output with a fresh, high-quality part will make a significant improvement not just to the guitar's performance, but will make any future maintenance a lot easier. Before dismantling the guitar, I had been paying particular attention to the Floyd Rose bridge, as my luthier senses were tingling that severe tuning issues might have something to do with damaged or worn parts in this area. Sure enough, I spotted some strings that were stripping their windings at the saddles, detuning the string. I even had one string break right at the saddle, which couldn't be more of a smoking gun that this was where I needed to focus my attention. So I stripped down the Floyd Rose, every single screw and bolt laid out, and had dropped it all into a vinegar bath to remove the rust and grime that had accumulated in the nearly 3 decades of use. Once the acid and a bit of scrubbing had done its job, the parts could be rinsed off with soapy water, dried thoroughly, and oiled up. I was then able to inspect the parts as the Floyd was reassembled, and I could take notes on the condition of each element. The main issue was the saddles themselves. Several of these saddles had damage where bolts affixing them to the bridge plate had deformed the metal. Many also had been deformed by the strings, leaving them with imprints of the string windings, and a couple even had cracks that ran all the way through the saddles. This one even had its rear end blown out. These are cheaper die-cast zinc alloy saddles, like the ones found on the Floyd Rose Special, a cheaper Korean-made version of the Floyd Rose with frankly substandard parts. Zamac parts are pretty common on inexpensive guitars, but it seems incredibly unlikely that these would have been the original saddles on this Japanese custom shop ESP. The saddle blocks were also mismatched, which could indicate that this bridge has been Frankensteined back together at some point by someone who didn't know or didn't care about the quality difference between these zinc parts and the original hardened mill steel parts that should be on there. Fortunately, the Floyd Rose website makes it easy to find the parts I needed. I was able to pick up a set of the original steel saddles, along with new steel saddle blocks to fit them, and to ensure there was no thread size issues, I got new lock screws too. I also upgraded the springs to black noiseless versions, as I always like to eliminate the possibility of old, stretched springs causing any tuning issues, and this guitar had a particularly strong case of spring ring. The original nylon washer on the top side of the Floyd arm had disintegrated over time and was preventing the Floyd arm from tightening up. So I cut down a nylon washer in my collection to allow the arm to tighten up again. Floyd Rose doesn't seem to sell the proper washers individually, and I wasn't really in the mood to buy a whole new £34 trem arm to get a single 3p nylon washer. Sometimes the correct solution to a problem involves spending money on the correct parts. With the hardened steel saddles in place, this Floyd Rose now operates as designed, and all tuning issues on this ESP have been eliminated. But there is also a lesson in here about regular maintenance and not over-tightening parts on a guitar. With the exception of the mangled Floyd Rose saddles, this ESP Tiger is in incredibly good condition for a guitar of its age. Hopefully, with these upgrades and repairs, it'll keep rocking for many more years to come. Keep it loud and stay safe.